Madam Speaker, to ask the Honourable Minister of Public Infrastructure and Land Transport, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade, whether in regard to the Victoria Urban Terminal, he will state, A, if the lease agreement for the 5.25 arpents, therefore, has been signed, indicating the annual lease rental, B, the interim arrangements that will be made for the passengers of Metro Express pending the coming into operation thereof, and C, whether in the light of the costs involved, feeder buses will be provided free of charge to and from the urban terminal.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I will answer this private notice question. Madam Speaker, I have had the opportunity in many occasions to explain to the House the rationale behind the decision of government to implement the urban terminal projects in reply to several PQs on urban terminals and the Metro Express project. The urban terminal project is a major component of the regeneration of the urban landscape in Mauritius along the corridor from Port Louis to Cupip, with the forthcoming operation of the Metro Express project. Mauritius needed an affordable new mass transit system along with a network of modern integrated urban terminals comprising parking facilities, food court, office space, commercial space, dedicated hawker areas, and green spaces. The urban terminals will normally provide the following facilities: a modern and visually aesthetic bus terminal of an extent with enough bus bays to ensure a modern and efficient transportation network. Office space, a hawker area to accommodate hawkers in a secured, controlled space which will benefit from the flow of passengers. Parking facilities, a pedestrian link esplanade to link the terminal with the Metro Express terminal, green space, a taxi stand, and commercial spaces and other amenities. The Victoria Urban Terminal will also include the restoration of the ex-NTA building, which is a listed building under the National Heritage Fund Act. The whole project will involve private investment to the tune of 1.9 billion, after which 350 million rupees, Madam Speaker, will go to the restoration of the listed stone building. The project will have numerous economic benefits, such as creation of employment, generation of trade, and improvement of infrastructure in general. It will also have social impacts, such as impact that is a new facility for 1,000 hawkers, 616 buses operating along the 46 bus route, 100,000 commuters, and 50 taxis currently operating at the Victoria Terminal. Following discussions with various stakeholders and authorities concerned about the best model to be adopted for the implementation of the urban terminals, Government agreed that for the most appropriate model would be a lease model, as in the cases of hotel, industrial, and other large-scale projects. The urban terminals will be implemented on a design, finance, build, operate, and maintain basis. The lease will be for a 60-year period and may be considered for renewal under such terms and conditions as may be decided with the government. Madam Speaker, following approval of Cabinet, my ministry invited proposal through a request for proposal exercise on the 19th of December 2016. The closing date was 15th February 2017. Some 20 companies expressed their interest to submit proposals for the project. However, by closing date, 6 of the interested companies formed a consortium comprising the following companies and submitted a common proposal: General Construction Limited, IBL, Inodis, Promotion and Development Limited, Rosehill Transport Bus Service Limited, Transinvest Construction Limited, and Transinvest Construction is the leading company in the consortium. An evaluation team comprising the representatives of the relevant ministries, including the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Housing and Lands, my ministry, City Council of Port Louis, among others, they did an evaluation exercise. And following an evaluation of the proposal received, it was considered that it was in conformity with the requirements of the RFP. The consortium was notified of the acceptance of their proposal. Subsequently, with a view to making the project financially viable, the consortium made a request that consideration be given by government for a series of incentives, especially given that around 70% of the land is being earmarked for public and recreational purposes such as bus terminal, taxi stand, overhead bridge, green spaces, amongst others. An interministerial committee was set up to look into the incentives that could be given, and it was accordingly agreed to provide the following fiscal incentives and support to all terminals. That is, to apply the smart city incentive. The following fiscal incentives provided under the smart city scheme will be provided to the promoters of all urban terminals. First, an 8-year corporate tax holiday on income generated from development and sale, rental and management of movable property. Second, exemption of the value-added tax on capital goods, building, structure, plant, machinery or equipment for the first 8 years. And third, exemption of custom duty on imports of material, machinery, equipment and other inputs for the development and construction of the terminal, including on furniture in semi-knocked down from a condition that at least 20% local value addition is incorporated therein.
Point of order. My question is specifically about the lease, and it is the lease will be signed in a few days' time. It's not going back to 2016, and all the information that provided for, we already know.
Well, usually, Honourable Leader of Opposition, I give 15 minutes to the Honourable Minister to give his reply, and I'll give you 15 minutes also for your questions. Now, if he takes additional time, then surely I will have to act. But I'll ask the Honourable Minister also to be precise.
It was also decided, Madam Speaker, that a fast-track committee will be set up to facilitate the grant of statutory permits and clearances. As regards to Part A of the question, regarding the lease of land, the land to be leased is in fact of an extent of 5 arpent 32 pairs and not 5 arpent 25. Following discussions with the parties and ministries concerned, it was decided that the rental could be determined as in cases of similar large magnitude projects implemented on state land, such as for hotel projects, Jingfei, Landscope, Airport of Mauritius, amongst others. Consequently, in view of the socio-economic importance of the project, in line with Section 6, subsection 1F of the State Lands Act, which provides as follows. Notwithstanding Section 1C, which is general, where a large investment project is deemed by the Minister, subject to the approval of Cabinet, to be in the economic interest of Mauritius, the annual rental determined in accordance with that subsection shall be reduced by such amount as the Minister may determine, and any lease may be granted for a period not exceeding 99 years with the approval of the Minister, subject to the approval of Cabinet. Government agreed that the rental payable for all urban terminal projects would be reduced, subject to adjustments every 3 years thereafter of the lease period by reference to the cumulative inflation rate based on the CPI of every last 3-year period, which shall not exceed 15.76% in any 3-year period. Accordingly, it was agreed that for the Victoria Terminal, the rental payable would be 1 million rupees per arpent on the lease period. Lease period by reference to the cumulative inflation rate based on the CPI of every last 3-year period, and which shall not exceed 15.7%. After the 60-year period, the lease could be considered for renewal by the government on such terms and conditions as it may decide. A letter of notification award was accordingly issued to the Victoria Station Limited. The detailed design has already been submitted by the Victoria Station Limited to the Ministry. The lease agreement has already been finalized and in collaboration with the Ministry of Housing and Lands and vetted by the State Law Office. Last week, the Ministry of Housing was notified that there were 2 shareholders in the Victoria Station Limited who are non-citizens. In order to enable signature of the lease agreement, Victoria Station Limited has to submit the relevant non-citizen property restriction certificate and the shareholding structure. The approval of the Prime Minister's Office is accordingly being sought, and all necessary documents have already been forwarded to that office. The lease agreement will thereafter be signed within a fortnight. The works are scheduled to start by end of this month. The implementation plan, Madam Speaker, is as follows. The overhead bridge, 9 months. Urban terminal and the hawkers area, 2 years. Remaining amenities will be operational within a period of 6 months. Madam Speaker, as regards to Part B of the question, I would like to inform members of the House that provision has been made for 19 metro stations to be constructed along the alignment of the Metro Express project. 7 metro stations are to be completed for phase 1, including the Victoria station. This station is to be located on the Kudang side of the motorway, opposite the existing Victoria bus station. As such, the Victoria metro station is an autonomous facility that will start operation by September 2019 upon the start of the light rail system as scheduled. The Victoria Urban Terminal is a completely separate project that is to be constructed by the consortium. One of its assignments is to construct a footbridge to connect and integrate the Victoria Urban Terminal with the Victoria Metro Station being built by Larsen & Toubro for the Metro Express project. Madam Speaker, pending construction of the footbridge, which is expected to be ready by the first quarter of 2020, to enable passengers from the Victoria Urban Terminal to move to the Victoria Metro Station, a temporary bridge will be constructed by the consortium by September 2019. A shuttle service between the Victoria Urban Terminal, the Victoria Metro Station, and the 3 new temporary bus alighting boarding platforms will also be provided. Further, the present shuttle Immigration Square and Victoria Station will also be extended. 2 new feeder routes will be provided through the main regions of Port Louis and will stop at the Victoria Metro Station. As regards to Part C of the question, Madam Speaker, recommendations have been made by the Singapore Corporation for the provision of feeder services within a radius of 5 km to 10 km in the immediate conurbation of the metro station. This would ensure the first and last mile connectivity of commuters to and from the light rail station and would attract patronage of the Metro Express. Accordingly, 19 feeder routes have been identified, including 2 routes to connect commuters from Quatre-Bornes to the interchange of Rosehill, and it is proposed that the feeder routes be allocated to the affected bus companies, Rosehill Bus Transport for Rosehill, UBS for Port Louis, and CNT for Quatre-Bornes. It is expected that some 55 buses operating at 15 minutes interval would be renewed to offer feeder services during phase 1 of the metro from Rosehill to Port Louis. In respect of the Victoria Urban Terminal, 2 feeder routes, one plying through Cité Valigi, Cassis, Victoria Interchange, and a Port Louis circular road cutting through 12 main roads, including Royal Road, Louis Pasteur, Sir Sagaram Ghulam Street, La Paix Street, have been identified, and their feasibility has been confirmed following road tests carried out jointly by the National Transport Authority and the Traffic Management Road Safety Unit. 9 feeder buses will provide services along these 2 routes. In fact, it would be of utmost importance for the successful operation of the Metro Express that the feeder buses would facilitate commuting by linking passengers to the light rail station for optimal convenience of the passengers. Passengers commuting in the light rail via feeder routes, via feeder buses, will be offered a free service. The underlying condition would be that the passenger indeed boards or alights the light rail within a defined time lag. At a control mechanism and a control mechanism system, the electronic ticketing system, is being implemented by the Metro Express, and it will be extended to the feeder services.
Madam Speaker, do I take it that the foundation stone has been laid, the big tam-tam, etc., organized, yet the lease hasn't even been signed to the consortium? Is that it?
I explained that we have been working with this consortium. There was a letter of approval sent to the consortium. The consortium has been working with us for 2 years. They have already spent a lot of money in the final design. The project management has already been decided upon. And last week we had this small issue as regards to the non-citizen stakeholders. Then that's why we went to the Prime Minister's office. I have talked to the Prime Minister's office. This is going to be a derogation. They have already obtained one for another shareholder, and we believe that this is going to be a question of 2 weeks.
Speaker, another example of bad planning. Tell me, can the Minister tell us the original valuation for the land was, I understand, 11 million rupees per arpent. Can you provide a copy of the government valuation, which I understand it was, and you confirm also that you said that the land is worth 700 million rupees. You said so in Parliament here.
Madam Speaker, we went to valuation, of course. We went to valuation, we get the valuation, but I would like to explain that this project, when we see the amount of investment, the fact that government is not spending any funds, the fact that we are addressing so many issues, it falls squarely under the precinct of this State Land Act. And I would like to say one thing. In the past, in a number of areas like Jingfei, the airport of Mauritius, and I would like to say also that at the beginning we were thinking about vesting the land in the Mauritius Ports Authority, and we had a problem because it had to be then included in the strategic environment of the MPA. Now the MPA is renting land on the other side of the road, and to almost the same companies, and the leases are ₹1 million per arpent, 700,000 rupees. For example, for IBL Entertainment, for Innogees it is 700,000 per arpent. Kodan Limited it is 900,000 per arpent. Tropical Paradise it is 610 rupees per arpent. Madam Speaker, we have. Yes, but we have to see what we are doing, Madam Speaker. Why we went on a simple lease? Because it's just like on a pagiometric. For 30 arpent. For 30 arpent, don't we give 300,000, 400,000 rupees of land? Why? Because we want investment. And this, do we want this La Gare Centrale to stay what it is? Do we want this stone building to have trees inside? Do we want 600 buses to be where they are now? Madam Speaker, we have to decide. And I would like to thank the Prime Minister and all my colleague ministers, because this is a fantastic project. Now, if we were to apply the lease, it is 60 million rupees. Which company, which consortium would invest and to pay 60 million rupees of lease per year? How can they? I'm really astounded, because the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is a former Minister of Investment, Finance, and the PMSD as well said, we want development, we want investment, we want creation of jobs. I can't understand why this attitude now, because we are giving away. Do we want that station? Just close your eyes, Madam Speaker. For 50 years, it has remained like this. Do we want this to stay there?
Madam Speaker, I have touched a sore point, and the Minister need not panic. Don't panic, just answer the question. Can I take it that the government valuer, in his wisdom, her wisdom, put this at 11 million per arpent? For 5 arpents, 55 million rupees per year. You personally, as Minister, with your approval of the colleagues in Cabinet, reduce that by 1/11 to 5 million only. Is that what you're telling the public? Without, I presume, going back to the government valuer to ask his advice, because you know better. Is that it?
Madam Speaker, I gave examples of what is happening in the vicinity. I will give you another example. Mauritius Telecom. The land given to Mauritius Telecom falls under this purview. The land given to mutual aid falls under this purview. It depends what we want. We want a project because 70% of the land, Madam Speaker, is not built. They are building only on 30% because we have imposed conditions for a number of bays for buses, for the taxis, for the feeder routes. So we should know what we want.
Minister taken the time in his spare time to obtain a certificate in valuation that you should replace the government valuer and decide for yourself what other people in the vicinity are charging. I'd like to ask the Minister this. In 2020-2021, the prime of prime land that exists in Port Louis worth 700 million rupees according to yourself, your own words. This land is only going to be 4-story high. What a waste of optimum prime space that there should only be 4-story high in such an area. Why, in your wisdom as valuation officer, did you not think of increasing the height and making a better use all round of this valued land, which doesn't belong to you, but belongs to the taxpayer?
Madam Speaker, there is a business model. We have urban, the planning, town and country planning, the ministry, it has the limitations as regards to urban planning in a number of areas. You know that this land there is on water. So yes, so what? No, it's not so what. Now, what I would like to say, Madam Speaker, it was a bold and prudent choice to make for government as regards to the fact that we want to re-engineer all the urban terminals with 10 billion rupees of investment. There is something else also, Madam Speaker. Do we want 1,000 hawkers to be in the streets? He didn't ask 1 second. I wanted to know why there is not one single component of this question based on for the hawkers. Because so many questions have been asked for the hawkers. Now that we have found a solution for the hawkers, now that we have given them the possibility to have a mole,
let me say that I'll be fair. If he is providing information which he thinks is important and he's taking in time, I'll be fair and I'll give you additional time.
Madam Speaker, exactly. This is not the 1st of May. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask, so the Honourable Minister decided by himself the value of the land. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister that this is not a hotel. This, as the government has said itself, is a public-private partnership. Do you want me to quote you and the Prime Minister? I don't need to. However, through some colourable device, you have avoided the Public Partnership Act entirely, which would have forced you to go to the Central Tender Board.
In fact, we have been working on this. We went to the PPO. And he said that as regards to the view that the project does not involve a procurement exercise. This is from the PPO. No, but listen, but it's a simple lease of land for an urban development. In fact, they could have just asked, just like any company is asking for land for Pargeometric or elsewhere, to start the development process. We came with a request for proposal. We did the evaluation. We went to cabinet because we wanted cabinet approval at all given point in time. And we were advised by the PPO all the time because we really wanted, because this is land. Of course, it has a high value. But then, as I said, if we don't do this, the urban terminal there, for the next 10, 15 years, it will stay there and trees will grow in this stone building, Madam Speaker.
The truth is that the project is badly designed and hardly anyone was interested in what you wanted to do. Madam Speaker, this is not a hotel. This building, this project, will operate a bus terminal for government, for the municipality. This building will operate a taxi service for government, which is government's role to do, taxi stand, etc. So this is not a hotel. You have used, I repeat, a colourable device to avoid the PPA, the Public Partnership Act, and therefore to decide for yourself entirely, what is the land value to be ascribed to this project.
I never decided myself on that. At all and every juncture, we went to cabinet because I really wanted to have cabinet approval on this, Madam Speaker. And there is something else. We have, of course, the bays for the buses. We have the bays, we have the taxi service. We'll have 100,000 people are going through that terminal every day. We are securing a livelihood for 1,000 hawkers who are in the streets, Madam Speaker. Now he's saying that I decided on the value, I decided on the rental. We have to take a decision. The other day the Prime Minister said, investors, they should have a return on investment. There should be a model which fits, because it's not easy to have a public-private, he's talking about the public-private partnership. Why do you have? We have it because of the trust in the business confidence that this government has. You invest 2 billion rupees like this, and then on immigration sphere we are going to have another investment of 3 billion. So again we are doing the same thing. Madam Speaker, we have to take a decision and the government has taken that decision.
Madam Speaker, the Minister has mentioned on a number of occasions hawkers. I wanted to ask him whether the rental cost, I think it was set at 4,000 rupees, has been finalized, but so far there has been no value given for those people who wish to purchase their stalls outright. Can you now give us the cost for purchase?
The cost of purchase it would be around 350,000 to 400,000, and the Honourable Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister has come up with a scheme providing 300,000 to all those who want to buy the stall instead of with a very minimal interest rate, so that instead of paying their rent, they pay for the installment and they are going to be the owner of the stalls.
Let's see if they want to pay 400,000 rupees. Even that is not finalized, although the agreements have been signed. I'd like to ask Honourable Minister now about this. There were supposed to be 2 urban terminals in Port Louis. I understand the immigration square now is not on for quite a while. Will not be on because UNESCO. So how will people move? Those people coming from the north, how will they move now to this Metro Express terminal?
I would like to thank the Honourable Leader of the Opposition for this. We have a shuttle. We'll have a shuttle which will have more frequencies. That's the first thing. We are adding 2 new shuttles to be able to do the circular route. But I would like also to say that as regards to the immigration square terminal, the final designs are being done. And we are just waiting for the 2 experts from UNESCO to do the VIS, which is the Visual Impact Assessment, and the Heritage Impact Assessment. The terms of reference has already been drafted, have already been sent to Paris. We are waiting. We already have a list of those experts, and as soon as the UNESCO gives us the green light, we are going to have the 2 VIH and the VIA and the HIA, and we will be able to. We are going to move fast on the immigration square terminal as well, Madam Speaker.
Speaker, bad planning again. We have, instead of 19 stations, we only have 18 stations. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister, now this question of parking. We know that the point of the Metro Express was to take traffic off the road. Do you really think that 410 parking spaces for 1,000 hawkers, for all the shops, all the people at the all the places there, that will be enough to cater also for the Metro Express?
Madam Speaker, about planning. You know what we are doing? It's 600 buses. So if you put 2 people driving the bus and the conductor, it's 1,200 people coming 4 or 5 times on the station every day. 100,000 people. So many hawkers. We are to plan this. It's so huge a challenge, Madam Speaker. Nous sommes des planificateurs, pas de tireurs blancs. Now, let me answer the other question. As regards to the number of parking, the idea, in fact, is that we reduce the cars coming into the city and increase the ridership of the metro. This is the purpose. So we are adding 400 new parkings because all the parkings are going to be the same.
The question remains, Madam Speaker, that the whole point of constructing an urban terminal is to provide taxi service, bus service and parking, and here the Minister is agreeing that there will be no parking at all for the Metro Express because it's already full. Madam Speaker, for your information, Bagatelle has 2,600 parking spaces compared to 400 for his metro station. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask this question about the feeder buses. The feeder buses. Feeder buses, 100 of them, will cost something like 200 million rupees a year. You know that. Now, who will pay for that? The taxpayer, the people from Fond-du-Sac and Maibu also pay for that. It will be added to the cost of the metro ticket.
We are thinking of, we are going to have 50 feeder buses from Rosehill to Port Louis. We need another 50 from Rosehill to Kopip, so there are 100 buses. In fact, we are thinking of having electric buses. And we are thinking of having a facility, a leasing fund. We are looking for, I have talked to the Honourable Prime Minister, to see that the feeder buses, they don't add up to the cost of the metro from the companies. And we are thinking of having a lease system, a leasing system, so that they can lease the bus and run the bus.
So the taxpayer, can you just say it is a taxpayer for your leasing system? Who will pay for it? That is the question. That was a simple question.
The companies will have the possibility to have access to a leasing fund. They lease the bus, and then they run the bus, and they pay the lease.
Taxpayer will fund 200 million or so. You said yourself more when I was saying it will cost 200 million or more, and it is a taxpayer who will pay that feeder service. Madam Speaker, I like now to come to the construction of the famous terminal, if it ever gets constructed. Now, this is a question. You said in Parliament yourself, and I can quote it, in November 2018, that an EIA was required, was going to be asked for. I understand that no EIA is being asked for now. Can you tell me at least whether there will be no exemption given for the application for the building and land use permit?
As for the EIA, I have to really confirm, because one of the conditions is that they are provided with all the clearances and they have all the permits and they go through all the procedures. As regards to the building and land use permit, I don't think that it would be illegal to build such a big thing without a permit, and I look forward to my colleague, the Ministry of Housing and Lands, to give us the guidance and to analyze properly the building and land use architecture and everything. So according to the Environment Protection Act, bus terminals are exempted. But I think that because of the land where it is, we will talk to the consortium to see to it that mitigating measures are taken.
The question is whether there will be an EIA, not mitigation measures, whether you are asking for EIA, as you committed here in Parliament, and whether there will be no exemption from the BLUP. That is what I'm asking.
No exemption from the BLUP. Okay? According to the law, the EIA is not required. But we will request the consortium to abide by all the conditions that are needed, and mitigating conditions, because this is a place where all necessary consideration should be given to protection measures.
One last question, perhaps my colleagues may wish to ask. In November 2018, the bus toll was doubled for Port Louis only, meaning that now 5 million rupees will accrue to this consortium via the municipality of Port Louis for bus users. This is the same amount as you're charging for the lease of the land. Can you confirm that the bus toll was doubled in Port Louis only, and it was so that income would be generated for the consortium?
No, I think that the buses, they already pay this sum today to the municipality. And let me say one thing. There are a number of problems today. We have the problem with the taxis. We have the problem with the buses. We have the problem with the bus shelters. We have the problem with the hawkers. And the municipality, in fact, is finding solutions to some of its major problems in the city.
What a coincidence that only Port Louis was doubled. What a coincidence. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask one last question, and then in the famous feasibility, so-called feasibility study that you promoted when it was launched, the Metro Express, it was provided for that in 2020 there would be a 20% increase in bus fare, in Metro Express fare, and in 2021 a further 25% increase in bus fare. Are you maintaining that over the next year and a half or 2 years there will be eventually something like 50% increase in the cost of the fare in the Metro Express? This is what, don't say no, you should think about it, because this is what you provided to the nation, and I have the document here in your feasibility study, which I hope you read.
Madam Speaker, to discuss the business model of the Metro that himself as Minister of Finance approved. It was a loss of about 80 routes, closed. They built on a Metro on a ridership of 50%. We are not, since the government has come here, we have always said that the Metro, the fare is going to be the same. In fact, one of my colleagues even mentioned something, that people, to take the Metro, if we are to have this feeder fare, if you have the feeder fare, the last increase dates back to 2013.
is...
There is no increase. No increase. No increase in
Honorable
the
Leader of
debtor.
Opposition, if you've got other questions, then I won't be able to give the floor to other members. Right? Because then I'll be able to give the floor to only one member on this side.
This was the point, because it's important. This is part of the document that was submitted by government at the launch of Metro Express. It shows clearly here that in 2021, in a year and a half or so, the fare will increase to 50 rupees from 34 rupees presently. Now, if you calculate it, it's almost 50% increase. I'm asking you whether you are holding to this, that there will be a 50% increase over the next 18 months in the fare in the Metro Express. That's what I'm asking.
Madam Speaker, is the Honourable Leader of the Opposition saying that we are going to be here in 18 months? This is what you are saying. But we have said that there will be no increase.
You have said, and this is going on Hansard, that there will be no increase in Metro Express fare over the next 2 years. Is that what you're saying?
I have always said there will be no increase with the advent of the Metro when we start. We know that the Metro will take time. For the service from Cupip to Port Louis, it will take another 2 years. So how can we increase on one segment while the other segment is being built? So I can say that up and until the Metro is running from Cupip, that we cannot consider any increase in fares. I want to be very clear, Madam Speaker, I want to be very clear. Whilst one segment is running and the other segment is being built, how can we increase the fare? It will be a very, I would say, absurd decision. So it will not be it will be an unwise decision, Madam Speaker. So when the Metro is built and it is running as it should run from Cupip to Port Louis, then we will, after some time, we will consider how things are going to evolve. But that will take another 2 years.
Yes. Honorable Bhagwan, you had a question. I'll allow this and then last question for Honorable Leader of Opposition.
Since we are talking about urban terminals, it is linked with the Metro Express project together. Can the Minister inform us what is the latest position concerning the Place Margio urban terminal? That September is nearly, we are reaching September. What is the latest?
I would like to thank the Honourable Member. In fact, for Rosehill, we launched one exercise and the bidder was not responsive. We launched a second exercise, and I have been informed that the evaluation committee has just submitted its report, so I cannot say exactly where we are. But I would like also to delink the station built by Larsen & Toubro and the urban terminal built by private consortiums.
Yes, Leader of Opposition,
Madam
last
Speaker,
question.
absolutely. This is what the Minister had to say about linking and delinking. I'll read that bit to him. This is what he said. August 2016, May 2018. In the wake of the Metro Express project, the need for modern, safe, secure and integrated urban terminals has become imperative. So it cannot be delinked because it is linked by definition. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister this question. He gave information which happened not to be true and which is not abiding by regarding the EIA. Himself in the House, he said that EIA will be requested and the Minister of Environment has power to request for the EIA. So I will ask him, firstly, to request for an EIA for this project as the Minister of Environment. Again, Madam Speaker, he has provided information to the nation concerning increases in bus fares, nothing to do about finishing a project. 2018, 2019, again, that information appears to have been inaccurate. Now, how much of what you're telling us is inaccurate, we have no idea. But I would at least ask our Honourable Minister to ensure that these two things are clarified quickly.
I will certainly do that, Madam Speaker. I personally, and I'm sure my colleague, Minister of Environment, will consider that such a massive project in that vicinity would require all the environment mitigating measures. As regards to the figures, I have said, the first leg of the metro, the first segment is going to be to be completed in September. The other one is going to be submitted in 2 years, Madam Speaker. Then we will reconsider, and because we have worked on scenarios. The lowest scenario is 30% of ridership from the buses. What they did was 50% of ridership. We are working, and let us see how it does, because we are satisfied on this side of the house that together with the metro, we are going to have urban terminals which will change the whole urban landscape between Kupip and Pori, Madam Speaker.
Time is over.